Okay. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me here. I'll give you a little bit of background on this project. So Lasting Impressions kind of came to be, this was during COVID when theaters were empty and one of the executive producers and creators, he had done a lot of live shows and he was playing with the idea of how to get people to experience something together um, during COVID distance and creating something new and unique. So that's where this show kind of came to be. So I will show you, we'll start here. So this right here, this is the title of the show. So it's a work of 100 different Impressionist artists. We used different themes. And originally it was supposed to be different rooms that were created. So you could walk and go along and see different versions of the show in each room. But then it was decided to make it into one singular experience. So it's a 45 minutes sit down film. My history with 3D, I kind of fell in love with stereo. I think Avatar was probably the first inception of how it could be used in an environment and just kind of create something new that I hadn't seen before as a filmmaker. So that inspired me to kind of go learn the technology and how to do it. So we spent 4 years of our filmmaking career and kind of shifted from 2D to 3D. So this crazy little rig right here, this was the first stereo rig we built to shoot 3D. In there is two Canon Infinity cameras, which were cameras from China. And they worked flawlessly in 3D for sync, which made our lives really easy. And everything on the rig was manual. And we shot our first independent 3D feature called 40 Blow and Falling. And that was inspired by the way we shot it by Pina and T.S. Spivot, and the way we used the depth maps and created the project. So my love for 3D storytelling has been ingrained in some time of native stereo content in theaters. And so that led us to working with our partners on Lasting Impressions. So this little video here will give you a bit of an idea of what the show is about and what it looks like. Oh, sorry, actually, I have this first. This is a behind the scenes of how we kind of create our stereo. We use a program called Storyboard, which allows us to make 3D stereoscopic storyboards so that both in film, my production design team can see what I'm planning so we can build the sets properly to work with the parallax that's on there. And then that up in the top right-hand corner is just an example of the depth budget or depth map that that I try to use, I should say, when I'm creating a script to kind of map out where the stereo space is going to be for the movie. And we built one for Lasting Impressions that was great at the beginning, but then when we decided to merge all the rooms together, it kind of got thrown out because they were no longer separate. So we were creating the stereo depth budget kind of based on the picture and how they were created. So this is a little introduction to what this show is.
Lasting Impressions is an immersive 3D LED experience of sight and sound that transports guests into more than 100 of the world's most recognizable masterpiece paintings.
It was beautiful to see kind of pictures come to life.
It was so beautiful and phenomenal. I enjoyed it incredibly.
Something I've never seen before.
Ballerinas came out. It really was amazing.
Literally felt I was in the painting.
Don't miss Lasting Impressions. You will have to see it to believe it.
So right now, the show, it's currently playing on a passive LED screen. So we only have one screen. So unfortunately, it's just touring per city. Right now, it's playing in Florida and the Villages. We've been playing in Florida. We are looking at expanding the show, possibly breaking the screen up into two screens, two smaller versions, to have it placed in more places than one. But right now, if you want to see it, it opens again in the Villages in Florida on Monday, actually, and it plays there for 3 months. And then we're talking to different art galleries and museums as to where it's going to go next. So this right here, this is an image that I used at the very beginning when I was trying to look at the paintings and decide how they were going to be experienced or seen and how we are going to kind of move through them. So one of the original ideas of the show was to take audiences inside the painting. So we did as much research as we could on each of the paintings and the artists and what their intention was, what their viewpoint was, and just any information on the collection of art to kind of give us some direction as to how they imagined either themselves experiencing it or what they were trying to say to a viewer. So that's how decisions were made on how we built it out. We did our very best to keep the art as authentic as possible and not kind of put limit the amount of creative decisions we had to make on it. So this kind of gives you a little depth idea of where we would move and how we would kind of move through the painting. So at first step, every item in the artwork had to be rotoscoped, and then we had to build in the depth and roundness to the image to kind of prevent it from being 2D cardboard. So yeah, this is just one of the paintings, and there was 100 of these. We also, for time's sake, just because we were running out of time, we had 2 methods. One, we brought them into Unreal and rebuilt them in the Unreal Engine. And then inside there, we filmed them with 2 stereo cameras. So we would film the movement. The other method we did is we used Adobe After Effects and made depth maps for some of the images. We did that for about 20 of them and just created movement using depth maps. So everything in those aren't as lifelike. They don't come to life. It's just more of the movement and the depth you're seeing inside the painting. This right here is our little behind the scenes of how our world was created. We use a program called Miro, M-I-R-O. It's a free program. It's like a giant whiteboard. And so everyone was able to collaborate on it. So this is the original inception of each room and each theme and where each paintings were. We created a little sizzle reel to kind of showcase what this was going to look like. But I just thought if anyone would like to see the behind the scenes of what the tools we use to build that. This right here, so this is a little video that'll show you the creation inside of how they were built in Unreal and a little bit behind the scenes. There's no audio for it, so yeah, you can see there's some shading going on and a rebuilding of the images, and you'll see here it'll change views from sculpting into what it's going to look like. But you can already see how you can move around the image, and there's some of the depth that's being built and created. And we tried to copy the colors as much as possible to make it as photo accurate color-wise. And if anyone is interested in some of the back end of how these were created and built in Unreal, if anyone plays in the Unreal space, this is all the stuff behind that. It's pretty complicated. It was a huge learning curve for me to understand the Unreal side, and I'm still learning as things change all the time. But this will give you an idea of what it kind of looks like. And then we created these black borders, so it felt like you were moving inside the painting as you kind of went went into it. And then here's it coming to life. So this is that's filmed in 2D, but we had 2 stereo cameras that would film it, and that would give us our stereoscopic depth. So this is on your left, an original painting, and then this will give you a little preview of how it kind of comes to life compared to the original one. So we built different layers. This is a working one. And what we actually found is it took so long for the paintings to kind of come to life. We actually, most of them, we end up inside them. So we don't see this build part. We usually, for most of the show, are inside a finished painting and just moving inside of it for the tempo of the music to kind of fit with it. Here is a little behind the scenes of the LED wall going up. So turn the volume down here. Each place we've showed it, there's been a different version of the wall. So there's been different sizes of how it was experienced. This was our very first show. This was in Miami. This was in the Arts Center. So we put everyone on stage, and we had three versions of it. So you had the one main screen, and then there were 2 supplemental side screens to support the show. And the LEDs themselves, they're just regular 2D panels, but they've got a passive polarizer over top of them, allowing them to become stereoscopic. So the panels don't know that they're 3D, but the server, you map out the checkerboard pattern, and that is what allows you to play 3D. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting questions at the end. So now I'm going to show you a bit of the show. You can see some of the finished material of the paintings. I apologize. This footage is squeezed because it was built for the screen. I don't have the original footage with me right now, but once I get an unsqueezed version, I'm happy to share that. So you could see an unsqueezed 3D version. So I apologize if anyone's watching this in 3D, but here's a 2-minute demo piece.
The word Impressionism was first used when painters, including Claude Monet, Edgar Degas, and my great-grandfather, Pierre-Auguste Renoir, pursued painting en plein air, placing their easels along the banks of the Seine and on the streets of Paris. Bonjour, I am Sophie Renoir, and avec plaisir, I welcome you to Lasting Impressions.
Starry, starry night, paint your palette blue and gray. Look out on a summer's day with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills, sketch the trees and the daffodils. Catch the breeze and the winter chills in colors on the snowy linen land. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now. Starry, starry night, flaming flowers that brightly blaze, swirling clouds in violet haze, reflect in Vincent's eyes of china blue, colors changing hue, morning fields of amber grain, weathered faces lined in pain are soothed beneath the artist's loving hand.
There we go. That's a 2 minute, yeah, just over 2 minute demo of it. I'm excited to say that the audiences have been really excited about the 3D. We've had a lot of positive comments on the stereo, so it was great to see audiences enjoying 3D. We had we're in Tampa and Orlando, and we had 2,500 people. It was with a live orchestra, and yeah, it was a very positive and great experience for audiences. So I'm excited for the show to expand. And then I have this. I'll just kind of quickly scroll through this. I don't want to take up too much time. I want to get to the questions, but this is just what we're doing right now is creating a immersive version. So we're working with a company in Saudi Arabia to build a much bigger version scale, and looking at some glasses free displays to augment it. So you still have the one giant screen where you wear glasses, but you can see some of the artwork in different ways in stereo. And so this is one of the cat drawings they made to kind of show what it will look like. We're playing with some 3D projection as well. One of the main concerns is that if there are glasses at one point, that it has to be the same type of glasses throughout the whole thing, because splitting up glasses would just be a nightmare. So that's just it's where you can have a drink and enjoy some of the show. And then there's an idea of what the main screen kind of looks like. That's the whole show.